Acts of terrorism at the local immediate level. Potential sites of terrorism might be high-profile landmarks, transportation facilities, utilities or public services, military bases, international or national events, resorts and amusement parks, sports arenas, and schools. In the event of an act of terrorism at the local immediate level, the principal's office should call 911 for the police or fire department. They should also contact or receive a decision from the fire department's hazardous material division on whether to shelter in place or to evacuate. If told to shelter in place, for example, due to an external chemical or biological threat, the principal's office should activate the shelter-in-place plan by announcement over the PA system. They should require all persons at outside areas to go indoors and make sure that appointed caretakers assist handicapped students. The principal's office should ensure that maintenance immediately shuts off all heating, cooling, and ventilation systems for the entire campus, and should instruct teachers to seal doors and windows. The principal's office should notify the superintendent's office, who will then contact others as needed. They will lock all doors except the main door and allow parents to assemble in the lobby. The principal's office will make frequent announcements that children are safest where they are because the building is somewhat sealed. They will encourage parents to shelter there, but they may be allowed to take their children home if they insist. The principal's office will be in contact with police for continuous information and instructions until the incident is under control. They will announce the current status of the incident at frequent intervals over the PA system until an all clear is given. Once the all clear is given, they will arrange for an orderly dismissal of all students. If the principal is told to evacuate, for example, due to an explosives attack on a school or a nearby facility, the principal will follow the evacuation procedures. If the threat is internal, such as powder in an envelope received in the mail, the principal will isolate the area and isolate individuals who may have been exposed to that particular threat and allow no one else to enter. They will evacuate everyone else in the building, and those people will follow the evacuation procedures. The principal will wait for the hazmat officials or for the appropriate authority for guidance, and will consult with the superintendent about calling the FBI. Post-incident. After the incident is resolved, the principal will make counseling available. The counselor will provide counseling to address the trauma after the incident. The teacher will follow the principal's instructions to either shelter or to evacuate. If told to shelter in place because of something like an external chemical or biological threat, the teacher will move all students indoors, close all windows and doors to the shelter, and seal if instructed to do so. They will turn off the room heating, cooling, or ventilation systems. They will try to calm the students. If there is air contamination in the shelter, the teacher will place a paper mask, wet handkerchief, or wet paper towel over their nose and mouth for temporary protection. They will continue to follow the instructions given by the principal's office, and if the principal permits, the teacher will allow children to go home with their parents while the teacher stays with others. If the teachers are told to evacuate, for example, due to explosives attack on a school or a nearby facility, the teacher will follow the evacuation procedures. Biological agents. Anthrax. Acquisition. Difficult to obtain lethal bacteria stock. Non-lethal stock is much more prevalent. Lethality. Very high, not contagious. Treatment. Vaccine exists, treatable early with antibiotics, but fatal thereafter when flu-like symptoms develop. Observations. Likely terrorist agent because it can be stored, is resistant to weather conditions, and not activated until inhaled. The Japanese cult, Shinriko, unsuccessfully used non-lethal strain in early 1990s. Botulinum. Acquisition. Widely available, but most poisonous forms of this toxin are rare and difficult to use as a weapon. Used unsuccessfully 7 times. Lethality high. Treatment. Vaccine is being tested. U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention maintains a supply of effective antitoxin. Observations. Stable for weeks in food or still water, but it is difficult to use as a weapon and is not considered likely for use in mass attacks. Ebola. Acquisition. Very difficult to obtain, unsafe to process. Lethality, very high. Treatment, no vaccine. Some antiviral drugs may work, but overall effectiveness of treatment is questionable. Up to 90% of victims die. Observations, considered an unlikely terrorist agent because it is poorly understood and difficult to acquire. Plague. Acquisition, very difficult to obtain lethal bacteria stock. Lethality, very high and very contagious. Treatment, no vaccine. Rapid use of antibiotics can be effective. Observations, not considered a likely agent used by terrorists because heat and sun render it harmless, and it is difficult to turn into a weapon. Nearly 20,000 cases of the disease have been reported worldwide since 1980, none the result of terrorism. Smallpox. Acquisition. Only confirmed sources of this disease, which killed more than 500 million people in the 20th century, are in one U.S. and one Russian lab, but circumstantial evidence suggests it is available elsewhere. Lethality high. Treatment. Vaccine exists in limited supplies. There is no cure and generally no effective treatments after infection. Observations. If terrorists could obtain this virus, one infected person on an airplane could infect most passengers and possibly cause a national epidemic. Chemical agents. Chlorine. Manufacture. Readily available industrial product. Lethality low. Treatment. Move to fresh air. Wash skin with water. No antidote. Observations. Likely terrorist agent because of commercial availability, but it breaks down with water. Hydrogen cyanide. Manufacture industrial product, but some required chemicals are banned by Chemical Weapons Convention. Lethality low to moderate. Treatment. Move to fresh air. Wash skin with water. Some drugs can mitigate effects. Observations. Likely terrorist agent because of its commercial availability. Sarin. Manufacture. Difficult nerve agent to manufacture. Used in subway attack that killed 12 in 1995. Lethality high. Treatment. Move to fresh air. Wash skin with water. Drugs have limited effectiveness against high doses of sarin. Observations. Likely terrorist agent whose use has already been demonstrated. Chemicals needed to produce it are banned by the International Chemical Weapons Convention. Tauben. Manufacture, relatively easy nerve agent to manufacture, although instructions are not widely available. Lethality, high. Treatment, move to fresh air, wash skin with water. Drugs have limited effectiveness against high doses. Observations, likely terrorist agent because it is easy to manufacture and necessary chemicals are available. VX, manufacture, difficult, advanced nerve agent to manufacture. Lethality, very high. Treatment, move to fresh air, wash skin with water. Drugs have limited effectiveness against high doses. Observations, not a likely terrorist agent because it is difficult to make and its constituent chemicals are banned by Chemical Weapons Convention.